Willie Nelson is more than a musician. He is a living symbol of resilience, authenticity, and quiet rebellion. For decades, he stood apart from the polished expectations of the music industry, choosing truth over perfection and honesty over approval. His voice, raw and unfiltered, carried stories that felt lived rather than performed. But behind the legend lies a deeply human story, filled with abandonment, struggle, loss, and relentless perseverance. Willie didn't rise because life was kind to him. He rose because he refused to stop, even when everything around him suggested he should. His journey is not just about music, it's about survival, identity, and the courage to remain true to oneself. A childhood marked by abandonment. Willie Nelson's early life began in quiet hardship. Born in rural Texas during a time of economic struggle, he experienced abandonment at a very young age, when his parents left him and his sister behind. Raised by his grandparents, he grew up in a home rooted in discipline, faith, and modest means. While his grandparents provided care and structure, the absence of his parents left an emotional gap that never fully disappeared. This early experience shaped his understanding of love and belonging. He didn't grow up surrounded by comfort, but by resilience. The silence left by his parents' absence became something he carried within him. It wasn't loud or dramatic. It was subtle, constant, and deeply influential. That quiet loneliness would later find expression in his music, giving his voice a depth that listeners could feel, even if they didn't know its origin. Music as an emotional escape. From a young age, music became Willie's refuge. His grandmother encouraged him to learn instruments and read music, planting the seeds of a lifelong passion. By the time he was a child, he was already playing guitar and writing songs. Music offered him something nothing else could, a way to process emotions without needing to explain them. It became his language, his comfort, and his identity. While other children found connection in family or school, Willie found it in melodies and lyrics. He absorbed sounds from his surroundings, gospel, blues, and country, blending them into something uniquely his own. This connection to music was not about ambition or fame. It was about survival. It gave him purpose when life felt uncertain. Even at a young age, it was clear that music was not just something he enjoyed. It was something he needed. Struggles of early adulthood. As Willie stepped into adulthood, life didn't offer immediate success. Instead, it presented a series of challenges that tested his determination. He took on various jobs, trying to support himself while holding on to his dream of making music. None of these roles felt like a true fit, and he often found himself searching for direction. Financial instability was a constant reality, and progress in his musical career was slow. Despite these difficulties, he continued writing and performing whenever possible. These years were not glamorous. They were filled with uncertainty and struggle. However, they played a crucial role in shaping his character. He learned patience, persistence, and the importance of staying committed to his path. Even when opportunities were limited, he refused to let go of his passion. These experiences built the foundation for everything that would come later. Personal life and emotional challenges. Willie's personal life during this period was equally complex. His early marriage brought both responsibility and conflict. The relationship was marked by tension, misunderstandings, and emotional strain. Balancing family life with his ambitions proved difficult, and the pressures often led to instability. The challenges within his personal life mirrored the struggles he faced professionally. He was trying to build something meaningful while still figuring out who he was. These experiences left emotional marks that influenced his perspective on relationships and life. His role as a father was complicated by his constant movement and focus on music. This phase of his life was not defined by success, but by growth through difficulty. It revealed the human side of his journey, one filled with imperfections, mistakes, and lessons learned over time. Songwriting genius without recognition. Despite his struggles, Willie's talent as a songwriter began to shine. He created songs that would later become classics, including Crazy, which gained widespread recognition. However, while others found success performing his work, Willie himself remained in the background. He sold songs for small amounts, often out of necessity rather than choice. This created a painful contrast. His words were reaching millions, but his own voice was not. The industry valued his writing but overlooked him as a performer. This lack of recognition could have discouraged him, but instead, it fueled his determination. He continued to write, driven by passion rather than validation. These years highlight a common reality in creative fields. Talent does not always lead to immediate recognition. For Willie, it was a test of patience and belief in his own worth. Rejection by the music industry. When Willie moved to Nashville, he encountered an industry that had a very specific idea of what success looked like. His style didn't match the polished sound that was popular at the time. Producers and executives saw his voice and delivery as flaws rather than strengths. They encouraged him to conform, to change his sound, and to fit into a mold that didn't feel authentic to him. This rejection was not just professional. It was deeply personal. It challenged his identity as an artist. However, Willie chose not to compromise. He continued to perform in his own way, even if it meant limited opportunities. This decision was difficult, but it preserved his authenticity. Looking back, the very qualities that were once criticized became the reasons for his success. His story during this phase is a reminder that staying true to oneself can be more important than immediate acceptance. Turning point through loss and change. A major turning point in Willie's life came after a devastating house fire. While it resulted in significant loss, it also became a moment of clarity. The destruction forced him to reevaluate his path and make bold decisions. He chose to leave Nashville and return to Texas, seeking a fresh start. This move marked the beginning of a new chapter. In Texas, he found a different kind of audience, one that appreciated authenticity over perfection. The environment allowed him to reconnect with his roots and rediscover his voice. What initially seemed like a setback became an opportunity for transformation. This moment illustrates how loss can sometimes lead to growth. For Willie, it was the beginning of a journey toward becoming the artist he was always meant to be. Success built on authenticity. Willie's success in the Outlaw movement brought him widespread recognition. However, unlike traditional fame, his success was built on staying true to himself. He didn't change to fit expectations, he changed the expectations themselves. His music connected with listeners on a deeper level because it felt real. He performed extensively, building a strong bond with his audience. His journey from rejection to recognition was not quick, but it was meaningful. Each step reflected his commitment to authenticity. This phase of his life demonstrates that true success is not just about popularity, but about connection and impact. Willie's influence extended beyond music, shaping how artists approached creativity and independence. Legacy of resilience and endurance. Today, Willie Nelson's legacy is defined by resilience. He faced abandonment, rejection, financial struggles, and personal challenges, yet he never stopped moving forward. His story is not one of easy success, but of persistence through adversity. He remains a symbol of authenticity in an industry that often values conformity. His journey reminds us that setbacks do not define a person. How they respond to those setbacks does. Willie's life is a testament to the power of staying true to oneself, even when the world doesn't immediately understand. His music continues to inspire, not just because of its sound, but because of the life behind it.